Namaskar, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors, professionals, listener learners, the most honorable President Counsellor ji, respected doctors and directors, honorable ministers and managers, honorable advocates, advisors, administrators and advisors, I Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily cordially welcome all of you. Kremlin slams Trump tariff pressure on India. Says some countries should have and do have the right to choose their own trading partners. From Moscow, Russia accused the United States on Tuesday of exerting illegal trade pressure on India after US President Donald Trump threatened again to raise tariffs on India over its purchases of Russian oil. We hear many statements that are in fact threats. Attempts to force countries to cut trade relations with Russia. We do not consider such statements to be legal. Kremlin spokesman Peskov told reporters. We believe that one countries should have and do have the right to choose their own trading partners. Partners for trade and economic cooperation, and to choose for themselves the forms of trade and economic cooperation that are in the interest of a particular country. Trump has said that from Friday he will impose new sanctions on Russia as well as on countries that buy its energy exports, unless Moscow takes steps to end its 3 to half-year conflict with Ukraine. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signaled to change in Russia's stance on the war. Despite the looming deadline, New Delhi has called Trump's threats unjustified and vowed to protect its economic interests. Deepening a trade rift between the two major economies. EU to delay retaliatory tariff on US by 6 months. The EU will suspend its 2 packages of countermeasures to US tariffs for 6 months following a deal. US President Trump, a Commission's spokesperson, said on Monday the EU-US agreement gives Many questions open, including tariff rates on spirits and Trump's executive order last week setting tariffs on most EU goods at 15% did not include carve-outs such as for cars and car parts. EU officials have said they expect more executive orders to follow soon. Trump says jobs report released last week was rigged will pick new officials soon. From Washington, US President Donald Trump said Monday that he would pick an exceptional replacement to his labor statistics chief after ordering her dismissal as a new report showed weakness in the US jobs market. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump reiterated without immediately providing evidence that an employment report released last Friday was leaked. He alleged that the official had manipulated data to diminish his administration's economic accomplishments. We will be announcing a new statisticians sometime over the next 3-4 days. Trump earlier said he added Monday, I'll pick an exceptional replacement. US job growth missed expectations in July. Figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showed and revisions to hiring figures brought them to the weakest level since COVID-19. US could require up to 15,000 pounds for some tourists and which visas under new plan from Washington. The US could require up to 15,000 pounds for some tourist and business visas under a new pilot program launching in 2 weeks. A US government notice shared on Monday an effort that aims to crack down on visitors who overstay their visas. The program gives US consular officials the discretion to impose bans on visitors from countries with high rates of visa overstays, according to a federal registered notice. The bans also could be applied to people coming from countries where screening and vetting information is deemed insufficient. The notice said the program, effective August 20, will last for approximately a year. The government notice said the State Department was unable to estimate the number of visa applicants who could be affected by the change. Many of the countries targeted by Trump's travel ban also have high rates of visa overstays. Indian origin taxi driver attacked in Dublin. Police investigate violent assault from London. An Indian origin taxi driver based in Ireland for over 23 years has become the latest to be targeted in an unprovoked attack in the capital Dublin. The local police launching an investigation into the violent assault. Lakshmi Singh, in his 40s, told local media that he picked up 2 young men in their 20s on Friday night and dropped them at Coventry in the Ballymun suburb of Dublin. Upon arriving at the destination, the men are said to have opened the vehicle door and struck him twice on the head with water. As the suspects fled, they reportedly shouted, "Go back to your own country. In 10 years I have never seen anything like this happen," Singh told Dublin Live. "I'm really scared now and I am off the road at the moment. I will It will be very hard to go back. My children are really scared, he said. A Dublin police spokesperson said Singh was taken to the city's Women's Hospital with injuries determined as not life-threatening. Gardaí are investigating an assault reported to have occurred in Coventry, Ballymun, Dublin 11 at approximately 11:45 p.m. on Friday, 1st August 2025. A man aged in his 40s was brought to Women's Hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening injury. Investigations are ongoing, the spokesperson said. The incident followed an Indian embassy advisory also issued on Friday, expressing safety concern following recent attacks in and around the capital, Dublin, and urging Indian citizens to take safety precautions. There has been an increase in the instances of physical attacks reported against Indian citizens in the land recently, states the advisory. The embassy is in touch with the authorities concerned in Ireland in this regard. At the same time, all Indian citizens in Ireland are advised to take reasonable precautions for their personal security and avoid deserted areas, especially at odd hours. The statement reads, adding emergency embassy contact details as it came in the wake of a brutal attack on 40-year-old Indian man at Barkill Road in the Talag suburb of Dublin on July 19, described as mindless racist violence by locals. The Gardaí had opened an investigation into the case, and Indian ambassador to Ireland Akhilesh Mishra was among those who took to social media to express shock over the attack. Regarding the recent incident of physical attack on an Indian national that happened in Talbot, Dublin, the embassy is in touch with the victim and his family. All the requisite assistance is being offered. The embassy is also in touch with the relevant Irish authorities in this regard, the embassy shared in a social media post days after the incident. Imran's party organizes protest for his release. Islamabad or Lahore, Pakistan, Tehreek-e-Insaf Party Tuesday organized protest rallies in different parts of the country demanding the release of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, who was arrested 2 years ago on corruption charges. The party claimed that its more than 500 workers and supporters who took to the streets were arrested by police, mostly in Punjab province. Khan, 72, was arrested on August 5, 2023 from his residence in Lahore after being convicted by a court in a corruption case. He has been incarcerated since his arrest due to conviction in other cases and is being held at the Adila Jail, Rawalpindi. The call for the protest was given by Khan. This party claimed that supporters of the jailed leader responded by coming out in big numbers. Today, August 5, marks the second anniversary of the incarceration of former Prime Minister Imran Khan. With all basic human rights revoked, no or very limited access to his legal team or family, no access to his political leadership other than a couple of people now and then, senior party leader Zulfi Bokhari said in a statement. Bokhari, who is the spokesperson of Khan for international relations as well as international media, said the government has imposed a ban on gatherings blocking main highways, wrecking cars with party flags and raiding the residences of active party leaders and workers. Israel to follow controlled entry of goods into Gaza. Israeli cabinet mulls complete Gaza takeover from Jerusalem or Cairo. Israel's cabinet could authorize on Tuesday a complete military takeover of Gaza for the first time in 2 decades. Media reported despite international pressure for a ceasefire to ease appealing conditions in the besieged Palestinian territory. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is leading towards an expanded offensive and taking control of the entire enclave after 22 months of war against militant group Hamas, Israeli channel 12 reported. A senior Israeli source told Reuters on Monday that more force was an option following the collapse of indirect ceasefire talks with Hamas. Seizing the entire territory would reverse a 2005 decision by Israel to put settlers and military out of Gaza while retaining control over its borders. Among right-wing parties blamed Hamas gaining power there. It was unclear, however, whether a potential full takeover of Gaza would entail a prolonged occupation or a short-term operation aimed at dismantling Hamas and freeing hostages. Israel's coalition government is regarded as one of the most right-wing in its history, with a cabinet including parties that seek to annex both Gaza and the West Bank and encourage Palestinians to leave their homeland. The country's military has throughout the world pushed back against the idea of Israel trying to fully occupy Gaza and establish military rule there, which would require it to take over long-term governance. The military has also struggled with manpower issues as the war has dragged on with the reservists being repeatedly called up and putting a stain on their capabilities. The conflict was triggered by a Hamas attack on October 7, 2023, when gunmen stormed the border from Gaza, killing more than 1,200 people and seizing around 250 hostages. According to Israel's military campaign has devastated the tiny, crowded enclave, killing more than 6,000 people. According to Palestinian health authorities, it has forced nearly all of Gaza's over 2 million people from their homes and caused what a global hunger monitor called last week an unfolding famine that has caused widespread international anger and prompted several European countries to say they would organize a Palestinian state next month if there was no ceasefire. Inside Gaza on Tuesday, Israeli gunfire and strikes killed at least 13 Palestinian local health authorities said, including 5 people in a tent in Khan Yunis and 3 at Shigas near Rafah in the south, according to the Reuters. Canada's first humanitarian airdrop in Gaza. From Ottawa, the Canadian Armed Forces made their first humanitarian airdrop over Gaza on Monday using their own aircraft, delivering 9,800 kilograms of aid to Palestinians, according to Global Affairs Canada, as reported by CBC News. CBC News had exclusive access to the Canadian effort, which delivered food supplies like lentils, oil, milk powder and pasta using a CC-130J accused aircraft that departed from a Jordanian airbase. The drop was part of an attempt by 6 countries to alleviate the hunger crisis in the Palestinian territory. Canada is taking these exceptional measures with our international partners, as access to humanitarian aid in Gaza is severely restricted and humanitarian needs have reached an unprecedented level. Global Affairs Canada shared in a statement published Monday afternoon. Despite the scale of need, humanitarian partners face severe challenge in delivering life-saving food and medical assistance by land due to ongoing imposed by the Israeli government. In an interview with CBC News, Major Cam McKay, with the 436 transport squadron, said the team is very motivated to do this mission. Turkish PAL panel begins PKK peace initiative of Chinese women charged under Australia's foreign interference laws from Sydney. A Chinese woman appeared in court in Australia's capital Canberra on Monday after police charged her with reckless foreign interference for allegedly monitoring a Buddhist group in the city on behalf of a Chinese security agency. It is the third time charges have been brought under foreign interference laws introduced in Australia in 2018, and the first time a Chinese national has been charged under the legislation. The woman, who is also a permanent resident of Australia, faces a maximum sentence of 15 years imprisonment if she is convicted, the Australian Federal Police said in a statement on Monday. The AFP will allege the woman was tasked by a public security bureau of China to covertly gather information about the Canberra branch of Guyanyin Sita, a Buddhist association, the statement said. The Chinese embassy in Canberra did not respond to a request for comment. There was no immediate comment from the Chinese Foreign Ministry in Beijing. Police began investigating the woman's activities in March, acting on information provided by the Australian security intelligence organizations. The statement added she was arrested on Saturday after police search of homes in Canberra. The introduction of the foreign interference laws sparked tension with China, Australia's largest trading partner. The two previous foreign interference cases involved Australian citizens alleged to be working with Chinese intelligence agencies. Is the party over General Jed shift high cost for UK nightclub to reinvent? From London, UK nightclubs are famed around the world, but COVID and inflation have hit the sector hard, forcing businesses to reinvent themselves to attract new generations to the dance floor. Prism Kingston is a well-known club in southwest London, popular with students, where artists like Billy Eilish, Rod Stewart and Stormy have performed. But the converted cinema closed its doors for renovation last month, with its owners saying it was time to look to the future and reimagine this venue for next generation of partygoers. It will be transformed into a smaller club and a dance bar, creating venues that reflect what people are looking for now, they added. Many other British clubs are also trying to readjust after around a third of them About 400 venues have shut down since 2020 according to the Nighttime Industry Association. Whilst nightclubs were in gentle decline prior to COVID, the pandemic profoundly accelerated things. Tony Reid, a music industry consultant, told AFP, noting that the cost of living crisis have sent bills and rents soaring. As the first prince of the evening world poured in central London, 26-year-old account manager Connor Newsom told AFP he only goes clubbing for special occasions. After asking himself if it's really worth it, like 68% of 18 to 30-year-olds, the landowner has cut back on nights out for financial reasons and prefers to save up for concerts and events. Rick pointed out that COVID-19 caused a cultural shift among Gen Z, those born between 1997 and 2012, who generally drink less alcohol and largely miss out on the rite of passage of going out, experiencing clubs and learning some social behaviors. Lacom UK, the company behind iconic clubs like Prism and Attic, filed for bankruptcy in 2024, shutting down 17 venues across the country, citing multiple pressures. About 20 others, including Kingston, were acquired by Neos Hospitality, which decided to convert some into dance, bars or host alcohol-free events. The sector has to evolve, otherwise it will become obsolete. We acknowledge to stop hammer tagging partly sheepers lured by Berlin or Paris. London Mayor Sadiq Khan launched an independent working group called Nightlife Task Force, which will publish a report this year. One hundred 14-year-old doctor who carried on only torch in 21 becomes Japan's oldest person. Trump warns of substantial hike in India tariff in 24 hours. With India, what people don't like to say about India, they are the highest tariff nation. They have the highest tariff of anybody. We do very little business with India because their tariffs are so high. Russia says India has right to pick trade partners from Moscow. Russia on Tuesday said 7 countries have the right to select their partners in trade and economic cooperation based on their interest, a day after President Donald Trump threatened to substantially raise US tariffs on India for buying Russian oil. We believe that one countries must have and do have the right to choose their trade partners, the partners in trade and economic cooperation on their own and independently determine those modes of trade and economic cooperation that suit the interest of a country in question. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov told journalists commenting on the US threats regarding India. Says India has not been a good trading partner. From the job, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said India has not been a good trading partner and announced that he will raise the tariff on New Delhi very substantially over the next 24 hours because it is buying Russian oil with India. What people don't like to say about India, they have the highest tariff nation. They have the highest tariff of anybody. We do very little business with India because their tariffs are so high. Trump said in an interview with CNBC Squawk Box, India has not been a good trading partner because they do a lot of business with US, but we don't do business with them, so we settled on 25% tariff, but I think I'm going to raise that very substantially over the next 24 hours for us. For us, because they are buying Russian oil, they are fueling the world's machine. They are fueling the world machine, and if they are going to do that, then I'm not going to be happily added. When asked about the trade deal with India that she eminent Trump shared the sticking point with India is that its tariffs are too high. Now I will say this. India went from the highest tariffs ever. They will give us zero tariff. But that's not good enough because of what they are doing with oil. Today earlier Trump said he will substantially raise US tariffs on India, accusing the country of buying massive amounts of Russian oil and selling it for big profits. Hours later, India mounted an unusually sharp counterattack on the US and the European Union for their unjustified and unreasonable targeting of New Delhi for its procurement of Russian crude oil. Firmly rejecting the criticism, India pointed out the double standard in targeting it on the issue and said both the US and the EU are continuing their trade relations with Russia. Houses buried, scores trapped in Uttarakhand, flash flood havoc, disaster hits after cloudburst, at least 4 killed from Uttarakhand. Disaster swept through the Himalayan village of Dharamli on the way to Gangotri on Tuesday, with a massive cloudburst leading to flash floods that barreled through homes, streets and cars, trapping 60 to 70 people and leaving at least 4 dead. Dharamli is the main stopover on way to Gangotri, the origin of the Gangas and the home to the many hotels, restaurants and homestays. At least half the village was buried under the fast following mudslide of slush, rubble and water. Officials said adjust to personal better the elements in the ecologically fragile heights to contain the damage of the afternoon. Contiguous buildings, including 3 and 4-story houses, fell like a pack of cards as the surging waters washed over them. The devastating flash flood came in the wake of a cloudburst somewhere in the catchment area of the Sri Ganga river, and Dharamli was not the only hit. The raging waters flowed down 2 different sides of the same hill, one towards Dharamli and the other towards the village of Suki, said State Disaster Management Secretary Vinod Kumar Suman. The rain continued through the afternoon until evening, hampering rescue efforts. The Shah's landslide blocks 163 roads, including 5 national highways, 7 state highways and 2 border roads across the state, further impeding rescue and preventing personnel from getting to the far-flung area about 140 kilometers from state capital Dehradun, and usually a 5-hour drive. An army team from the nearest location of Hasil was immediately rushed to the spot to launch rescue operations, but teams from other places found it tough to reach due to bad weather and disrupted roads, Suman said. In HP, rain causes more landslides. RSOK's move to extend praise rule in Manipur at sea strikes down clouds, regularizing government land encroachments in Himachal, orders eviction from 10,000 plus hectares by 2026. Birthday ahead, Dera chief jailed for rape and murder gets out on 40-day parole from Chandigarh or Rohtak, Dera Sacha Sodachi, Gurmeet Kamlin, who is serving prison terms in Rohtak Sonaria jail for the rape of two sadhvis and murder of a journalist, was yet again released on parole on Tuesday morning, his 14th since October 2020. This time is for 40 days, during which he will celebrate his 58th birthday. He will be returning to the jail on September 14. By then, he would have spent 91 of 260 days out of the prison in 2025. That's an average of nearly 3 days a week, making him one of the most oft-released prisoners in the country. He has managed to get paroles or furlongs for over a year, 356 days, less than 5 years. His longest parole was for 50 days, starting January 22, 2024, and he has had 3 tranches of 40 days each. The BJP-led Haryana government had given him 2 furlongs earlier this year, 30 days in Jan and 20 days on April 19, barely 3 months later. He has been given another. Dera spokesperson Jitendra Khurana shared the state authority had granted parole within the law and that he would remain inside the Silsha Dera. Gurmeet left Sonaria jail around 6:30 am under heavy security in a convoy that included 2 bulletproof vehicles. Sources said the Dera chief sought parole to celebrate his birthday on August 15. While no public gathering has been permitted at the Dera, he may address followers virtually. Former J&K CUB Satyapal Malik dies at 29. Israel considers full Gaza takeover to finalize strategy. 2 miners rushed down in water-filled pit. In a first apex court barred High Court judge from handling criminal cases. From New Delhi, in an unprecedented order, the Supreme Court had stripped criminal matters of the roster of Allahabad High Court judge in the Demit's office after he erroneously upheld summons of criminal nature in a civil dispute. Taking stern view on the order passed by the judge, a bench of justices J.B. Pardiwala and M. Mahadevan directed removal of criminal matters from his roster till his retirement, while tasking him to sit with a senior judge in a division bench. The High Court judge had refused to push a magistrate's summoning order against the company because accused of not paying the balance monetary sum in a business transaction of civil nature. He said, asking the complaint to pursue civil remedy for recovering the amount was unreasonable, being time-intensive, calling the order passed by the High Court judge erroneous. The top court said the judge went ahead to the extent of saying that the complaint should be permitted to institute criminal proceedings for the purpose of recovery of the balance amount. was in a first apex court class high court judge from handling criminal cases. New Chief Research Center to open in Chandigarh. News from Chandigarh in a move to boost India's presence in the global semiconductor market. The new research center is slated to open at the Central Scientific Instruments Organization in Chandigarh in 2 years. MOD clears big arms deals worth 67k crore rupees. United by blood, divided by land, full march. Cousin says consult farmers. More AAP members may resign from Patiala. The political storm surrounding Punjab's contagious land pulling policy 2025 intensified on Tuesday with fresh criticism emerging from the within, the AAP and even from people closely linked to Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann. Rights panel seeks report on uranium in Punjab groundwater. Sikh body slammed SAD rebels panel from Amritsar. All Sikh Takhts important, but Akal Takht Supreme says resolution at SGPC from Amritsar. Jathedar mourns Malik's demise. The officiating Jathedar of Akal Takht's Gyani Kubir Singh. BJP gets 21 new list heads paves way for new state chief fall from Chandigarh, with 21st of its 36 organizational districts in Punjab getting new presidents. The Bharatiya Janata Party has paved the way for the election of a new state president according to party insiders. The Saffron Party's state unit is headed by two people at present: State President Sunil Jakhar and State Working President Ashwini Sharma. The 21 presidents have been elected unopposed, said a party functionary, adding that as per the party constitution, for electing a new party president in a state, more than 50% of the districts should have new party presidents in place. Jail stitched back to free ASRO plastic. 15 new industrial committees in Punjab. From Chandigarh, Punjab Minister Sanjeev Arora on Tuesday announced 15 more committees dedicated to specific industrial sectors, taking the number of such panel formed so far in the state of June 24. The panels are part of Punjab government's efforts to gather suggestions from industry experts to strengthen its industrial policy and improve ease of doing business. The Indian Audit youngest FIDI-rated female chess player in Punjab. Course in classroom, Bajwa slammed asks education model. So this is what Arvind Kejriwal and Bhagwant Mann mean to education revolution. This is from Pratap Singh Bajwa, leader of opposition from Chandigarh. Punjab's opposition leader has accused the state government of turning classrooms into detention centers after uniformed police allegedly occupied a Bathinda government school for us to prevent a teacher from joining a protest. Pratap Singh Bajwa, Congress leader in the Punjab Assembly, for the incident, a new Law-in-Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann's much hyped education reforms welcome to the Delhi model. Now with police in classrooms, Bajwa posted on X. Fair Compensation Act which takes multi-pro land acquisition, Minister says from Bathinda. Bhagat Puran Singh's death anniversary observed from Amritsar. Over 1 crore farmers received skill training in 3 years, Minister says from Bathinda. Now news from Punjab or Haryana or Himachal Pradesh. 2 Bishnoi and arrested after shoot out from Mohali. Amritpal's party denies link to Canada-based Pakistani outfit. Group's resolutions have been cited as basis for Apple's NSA extension. News from Chandigarh. Their chief in Sirsa says continue Seva. Soon after arriving in Sirsa, he released a video message to his followers, urging them to stay where they are, follow guidance and continue Seva. Sources said that permission for him to stay in Sirsa was granted after clearance from the district magistrate. Gurmeet is serving 20 years for the rape of 2 Sadhvis, convicted on August 25, 2017, and life imprisonment for the murder of journalist Ramchandra Chhatrapati, convicted Jan 17, 2019 in October 2021. A CBI court also awarded him a life term in the area manager conditioning for education. Around 40 people lost their lives when violence broke out in August 2017 in Panchkula and other parts of Haryana and Punjab following his conviction in the rape cases. Jail manual on parole and control. As per the jail manual, a convict is entitled to 10 weeks of parole in a year. The period for which the convict stays out of jail is added to the sentence. One who is sentenced to more than 10 years in jail is entitled to furlough for 4 weeks a year, which is included in the jail term. With this, a convicted prisoner can remain out of jail for a maximum of 98 days in a year. However, such freedom is not easily granted to all the jail inmates and depends on several factors, including the discretion of the authorities and clearance from the administration while Tuesday's parole. The Leela Sachasula chief would consume 91 of the 98 days he is entitled to. Teachers' body protest in Mohali reiterates regularization. Demand Punjab Government's Director of School Education met leaders of the Democratic Teachers Front. He promised to address their issues and provide a comprehensive report after meeting with the Education Secretary on August 21. From Chandigarh, the Democratic Teachers Front (DTF) protested in Mohali on Tuesday, expressing dissatisfaction with Punjab government for not honouring its commitments to them. Hundreds of teachers joined the protest at Gurudwara Amb Sahib, calling government's proclaimed educational revolution. Although during the stir, DTF functionaries said they delivered a notice to the Education Minister and Secretary outlining their demands. They warned of a larger state-level rally scheduled on Teachers' Day in September if their concerns were not addressed. The Director of School Education met DTF leaders promising to address their issues and provide a comprehensive report after a meeting with the Education Secretary on August 21. DTF State President Vikram Dev Singh and other union leaders highlighted unfulfilled promises. These included the reinstatement of sacked teachers Ravinder Kamboj and Narinder Bhandari, the regularization of the surface for open distance learning teachers and securing future employment for 300 teachers who were excluded from recruitment list. They expressed concern over
unpaid salaries and benefits for ODL teachers, the regularization of computer faculty and temporary staff, and the lack of progress in promotion across various teachings cadre. Despite assurances from the government to complete all promotions by July 31, the leaders deemed these commitments unfulfilled. They announced plan for district level meetings from August 11 to 13 and block level meetings from August 18 to 22. Strategize for the upcoming Teachers' Day protest. During the protest, speeches were delivered by Democratic Employee Federation State President German Jeet Singh, DTF State Vice President Gurpyar Kotley, and many others. Make municipal officials accountable for encroachments, change High Court. Section 163 Amendment violates edifice of law. The division bench held if the impugned provision section 163A is permitted to remain in the statute, it would defeat the very purpose for which the statute was created. The court observed that in the Act there exists section 163 whereby a detailed mechanism has been provided for the removal of encroachment from government land. The amendment in the Act by adding section 163A violates the very edifice of the principal statute and allows the regularization of the encroachment. It is respective of the aim and object of the parent statute. It defeats its laudable objects. It defies the constitutional provisions. It is demonstratively and excessively contradictory and mutually destructive, said the bench. Drive against drugs copies to pat down Punjab cops. Tighten grip ahead of one day. Blockade volunteer fill patrols. Government gaps in Anandpur Sahib. From Roadbird. Lords Mark Industries Limited to go public on BSE, NSE listing and global expansion. Ayushman Bharat Haryana Initiative Hospital Payments. News from Chandigarh, the state health agency. Haryana on Tuesday asked all the stakeholders to mellow down their call of withdrawal of services under the Ayushman scheme as a protest in an official communication to the stakeholders. The health agency stated that the budget was received from the state government on August 4 and accordingly payment to empaneled hospital was initiated on a first in first out basis. Pan plots Chinap plant to resolve water dispute. Sani said SYL talks positive step forward. Haryana's elephant corridor installed in Bush. 1,000 crore rupees wonder of trial. Beti Bachao gets bold ally. Transgender voices led cheer for Haryana baby girls. 26-year-old youth stabbed to death. Kim suspected. High Court seeks update on pending cases against MPs and MLAs. From Chandigarh, the Punjab and Haryana High Court on Tuesday asked the district and sessions judges across Punjab, Haryana and the UP, Chandigarh to furnish statutes updates on all pending criminal cases involving sitting and former MPs and MLAs. A division bench comprising Chief Justice Shil Nagu and Justice Yashvir Singh Rathod passed these orders while hearing an ongoing petition related to the cases pending against sitting and former MPs or MLAs in Punjab, Haryana and UP Chandigarh. The matter is pending before the High Court in a shoe petition. The High Court had taken cognizance of the matter following the direction of the Supreme Court to speed up the trial of cases against such VIPs. When the matter came up for hearing on Tuesday, the High Court was informed that a total of 13 cases were pending against MLAs or MPs in the state and the investigation was pending in second. In 11 cases, with regard to the delay, the State Counsel informed that there were cases involving a scam of rupees 5,000 crore. Chip Center to push minimum LED tag, Buddha sees rupees per acre land for farmers. No reprieve for Himachal. No reprieve for Himachal. Heavy rain causes more landslides, flash floods. No reply for Himachal. Heavy rain causes more landslides, flash floods. HP not to counsel for attracting big money in tourism. Shimla, the Himachal Pradesh government has approved the establishment of the Tourism Investment Promotion Council, a single window mechanism for fast-tracking project approvals and providing comprehensive investor facilitation. 1965 war heroism lies on family gifts caps Mahavir Chakra to Godward Rifles. From Chandigarh, a moment of immense honor unfolded in Dhurumshala, Himachal Pradesh on Tuesday when Sukhdev Singh, brother of the valiant late Captain Chandra Narayan Singh, presented the Mahavir Chakra and other medals of his decorated war hero brother to the Godward Rifles Regiment.
Captain Chandra Narayan Singh, popularly called Captain C.N. Singh, is remembered as one of the Himachal Pradesh's 13th recipient of the Mahavir Chakra, the nation's second highest military gallantry award for bravery in the face of enemy. On behalf of the Garhwal Rifles, the MBC was received by Lieutenant General B.S. Rana, Colonel of the Garhwal Rifles and Garhwal Scouts and the Commander-in-Chief of the Andaman and Nicobar Command. The ceremony was also attended by Lieutenant General Rajan Sharawat, VOC 9 Corps, Brig Vinod Singh Negi, Commandant Garhwal Rifles Regiment Center, Colonel Vishal Kumar Singh, Commanding Officer of Garhwal Rifles, several veterans and serving officers and troops of the Garhwal Rifles. In his address, Lieutenant General Rana expressed gratitude to the family of Captain C.N. Singh for presenting the medals and alluded that the word hero was a true embodiment of courage, leadership and bravery. His legend will continue to inspire generations of Indian youth and future soldiers. The medals will be displayed at the Garhwal Rifles Regimental Centre Museum, Limestone, Uttarakhand. This will serve as a source of inspiration and will keep the legacy of Captain C.N. Singh alive in the heart of the Indian Army and the nation for posterity, he added. On August 5, 1965, during the Indo-Pak War, Captain C.N. Singh, a young officer of two Garhwal Rifles, made the supreme sacrifice in the line of duty while fighting Pakistani infiltrators. For his exceptional courage, bravery and devotion to the nation, he was conferred with Mahavir Chakra. The handing over the MPC by the family to the regiment was organized by the army on Tuesday to mark the 16th death anniversary of the gallant soldier. BJP alleges corruption in Sirmaur Panchayat demands investigation from Shimla. BJP protest rally in Mandi today. Haryana officials told to enforce conversion law. An official said under the law, any person intending to convert their religion must, prior to the conversion, submit a declaration in Form A to the Deputy Commissioner concerned in case the individual is minor. Both parents or the surviving parent are required to submit a declaration in Form B. From Chandigarh, Haryana, Additional Chief Secretary Om Sumit Mishra on Tuesday directed all Deputy Commissioners, Commissioners of Police, Senior Superintendent of Police and SPs to strictly enforce provisions of the Haryana Prevention of Unlawful Conversion of Religion Act and Rules 2022. An official said under the law, any person intending to convert their religion must, prior to the conversion, submit a declaration in Form A to the Deputy Commissioner concerned. In cases where the individual to be converted is a minor, both parents or the surviving parent are required to submit a declaration in Form B. Additionally, any religious priest or person organizing a conversion ceremony must provide prior notice in Form C to the Deputy Commissioner of the district where the conversion is planned. Upon receiving such declarations or notices, the DC will acknowledge them by issuing a receipt ensuring formal documentation and transparency of the conversion process. She said government's intention was not to interfere with individual freedom of religion but to safeguard citizens from deception, coercion, or unlawful inducement. This law said the law prohibited any person from converting or attempting to convert another person from one religion to another through misrepresentation, cause, threat, undue influence, allurement, or fraudulent means, including digital wars. It also prohibits conversion by or for marriage. This spokesperson said unlawful conversion carried a punishment of imprisonment for a term of 1 to 5 years and a fine of not less than rupees 1 lakh. If a person conceals their religion to marry, the punishment is imprisonment for 3 to 10 years and a fine of not less than rupees 3 lakh. Conversion of a minor, a woman or a person from a scheduled caste or a tribe results in imprisonment for 4 to 10 years and a fine of not less than rupees 3 lakhs, she said. Mass conversion, defined as the conversion of more than 2 people at the same time, is punishable with imprisonment for 5 to 10 years and a fine of not less than rupees 4 lakh. Amritsar's mango exports climb despite grounded flights. Data tabled in the Lok Sabha last week revealed that mango consignments, mainly Alfonso and Kesha varieties, were shipped to the UK via Shri Guru Ramdas Ji International Airport. Exports of fresh mangoes from Amritsar's air cargo complex surged to 1.4 lakh kilograms in the year 2024 to 25. Need direct international flights from Chandigarh. From Chandigarh, Aam Aadmi Party MP Malvinder Singh come on Monday met Union Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu to advocate for the start of direct international flights from Shaheed Bhagat Singh International Airport in Mohali, Chandigarh. During the meeting, Kam submitted a detailed memorandum urging the minister to address the all demand. He requested direct flights from Chandigarh to major global destinations including the United Kingdom, United States, Canada and countries in Europe. He also called for a direct domestic flight to Shri Hajur Sahib Nanded, an important Sikh pilgrimage site in Maharashtra. Kam highlighted the strategic importance of the airport. This airport, named after Martyr Shaheed Bhagat Singh, has all the necessary infrastructure and is strategically located to serve as an international aviation hub for North India. He said the MP emphasized that improved air connectivity would bring significant economic benefits to Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh by attracting international investors and boosting tourism. He also noted that direct flights would greatly benefit the large Punjabi diaspora, strengthening socio-economic and cultural connections. Delhi High Court asked ECI why it has denied Johnson a false symbol from New Delhi. RSS not to invite Pak, Turkey, Bangladesh embassies for centenary celebration. Lecture series Drive Bhagwat to chart RSS vision. Delhi High Court asked ECI PCI, why it has denied Johnson import symbol. New Delhi, the Delhi High Court Tuesday asked the Election Commission of India why it had not responded directly by the Bharatiya Janasangh seeking a common election symbol. Justice Mani Pushkarna issued a notice to PCI asking the agency to file a reply on August 19, the next degree later. The petitioner pleaded that it intended to contest the upcoming Bihar polls and informed the court that it was established in 1951 and renamed in 1979. It has contested elections since its existence and applied for election symbols from time to time. In line with the relevant laws, it pleaded the petitioner further informed it participated in the 2024 Assembly election in Andhra Pradesh, for which it was allotted the sitar symbol. The petitioner had approached PCI through a letter dated June 2 for a common election symbol under the banner of ABJS. However, the party did not get a reply. Subsequently, a reminder letter was sent on July 4, 2025, which again went unanswered, the police stated. RSS not to invite Pak, Turkey, Bangladesh embassies for centenary celebration. The list of invitees includes representatives of minority communities, sports and cultural icons, thought leaders, and entrepreneurs from emerging fields such as startups and Indian knowledge system. Lecture series by Bhagwat to chart RSS division from New Delhi. Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh RSS will not extend invitation to the embassies of Pakistan, Turkey and Bangladesh for its 100th anniversary celebration, even as it is reaching out to other diplomatic missions. It's been in touch with. The list of invitees includes representatives of minority communities, sports and cultural icons, thought leaders and entrepreneurs from emerging fields such as startups and Indian knowledge system. The highlight of the centenary year will be a 3-day dialogue in Delhi from August 26, led by Sasan Chalak Mohan Bhagwat, focusing on the century-long journey, its role in nation building and its vision for new horizons. Bhagwan's Delhi address will be part of the series of 4 major events in the run-up to the Vijayadashmi centenary on October 2. Similar dialogues are scheduled in Bengaluru in November, Kolkata, thereafter the Mumbai, which will feature 2 days of lectures by Bhagwat and a 3rd day devoted to our pre-submitted questions and answer session. The daily program will begin at 5:30 p.m. each day and will also delve into the Panch Parivartan 5 transformation agendas of centenary year. Bhagwat is expected to touch on issues such as India shaping its future through indigenous strengths rather than colonial era benchmarks, unexplored capacities in various fields and countries, evolving global goal according to RSS Prachar Pramukh Sunil Ambedkar. The invitation list spans around 70 main categories and 138 subcategories, including social, economics, religious, spiritual, sports, arts, media, and intellectual leaders. Our aim is that the entire country should move forward together on its development journey. We went a dialogue with all sections of society. We shared Evaluator added that while we should some for vision with other way. Certain countries will be included. We are in contact with many embassies, but given the current context, Pakistan will not be invited. We shared according to the RSS. Sources, countries like Bangladesh and Turkey are also not going to be invited. Parliament extends President's rule in Manipur by 6 months. IA on China, India and Philippines enhance ties to strategic level. From New Delhi, India and the Philippines upgraded their relationship to a strategic partnership with Pakistan, expanding defense, security and maritime cooperation as PM Narendra Modi hosted President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. for bilateral talks. The two sides signed 13 agreements and MOUs, which included finalization of terms of reference for cooperation between all three wings of the armed forces, as Modi expressed support for freedom of navigation in the Indo-Pacific in line with international laws. Amid protest by China against joint patrolling by India and the Philippines in the South China Seas, both sides expressed concern over coercive and aggressive actions there that impact regional peace and stability, and called upon the relevant parties to exercise self-restraint and commit to peaceful and constructive means to resolve and manage disputes according to the joint statement. The leaders underscored that the final and binding 2016 orbit 12 award on the South China Sea was a significant milestone and the basis for peacefully resolving disputes in accordance with international law. The award had refuted China's expensive claims on SCS water in its dispute with Manila. In 2023, India had for the first time explicitly called upon China to abide by the ruling and followed it up with a similar assertion in a joint statement with Quad a year later. Among other significant takeaways from the meeting was adoption of terms for reference for negotiation for a potential trade agreement and signing of an agreement for mutual legal assistance in criminal matters. The leaders also adopted a plan of action 2025-29 for implementation of the strategic partnership. India also announced a gratis e-tourist visa facility for Filipino nationals for a period of 1 year. Parliament extends President's rule in Manipur by 6 months.
all eyes moist at Namra and Sudu Sharin Sugar had the full state governor. Have abiding interest in peace in South China Sea and PA says. They were arrested for issuing fake certificates. Aadhaar card in UP's Kushinagar and Lucknow. Our brands have room to grow, Inami, Mami, and says. India's digital eco set to cross services growth hits 11-month high on sharp price response.
From Russia, Washington is no slouch when it comes to buying from Moscow. So what wrong is New Delhi doing when Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimea region in 2014? US benefit with sanctioned US-Russia trade, which was worth over $38 billion in 2013, slipped to under $35 billion in 2014, $23 billion in 2015, less than $20 billion in 2016, and then started rising again. From 2017, although Crimea remained with Russia, what changed was that Obama left White House and Trump campaigned in 2021, the last year before Putin invaded Ukraine. Wholesale Russian exports to US amounted to $29.6 billion, almost the same as in 2012. This recap is important when Trump is threatening to make an example of India with substantially higher tariffs for buying Russian oil. The same Trump who, in fact, said Ukraine should have never started the war. Look at Europe too. EU's own data shows it supplied 10.3% of Russian imports last year and bought 7.3% of its exports. Total goods trade between the virtuous and the sanctioned amounted to are not insignificant $78 billion, much more than the $69 billion. India-Russia bilateral trade last year and data from the non-profit RDA shows EU is spending on Russian energy last year, $25.3 billion, was more than its financial assistance to Ukraine, $21.6 billion. That's why the West's moral grandstanding on the Ukraine war fails to convince foreign Trump officials to accuse India of financing Putin's war while ignoring EU's Russia trade and America's on $3 billion worth of Russian imports is nothing but hypocrisy. How is it kosher for US to continue buying enriched uranium from a sanctioned Russia to meet its energy needs while frowning upon India's purchase of Russian oil to fuel its growing economy? Trump trade no deal or damn deal. By the time this went to print, Trump hadn't specified by how much he will substantially raise tariffs on Indian exports on top of the 25% tariffs already imposed. Whatever the hit with India's $86.5 billion in crude exports to US understand, it's fair to ask, is India the only one buying oil from Russia? Why is US focusing on restricting oil imports? Is its position in the Russia-Ukraine war as clear-cut as it claims, crucially, there is some targeting India because we can't go up China. It's worth exploring the facts behind the claims. Why target India alone? NATO, US itself and China import heavily from Russia in 2024. EU bought $39.1 billion worth of Russian goods, including $25.2 billion in oil and fertilizers, non-alloy steel, aluminium, platinum group metals, titanium, radioactive substances, copper, nickel. US imports were worth $3.3 billion, including platinum group metals, radioactive chemicals, titanium, turbojets, oil kits, etc. China was the biggest buyer of Russian oil, worth $62.6 billion, more than India's $52.7 billion. Yet Trump likely singles out India because China pushes back hard and controls critical materials vital to US defense and tech, ignoring imports by its allies and rivals makes USA's tariffs on India seem more political than strategic. Washington sanctions crude oil because doing so doesn't hurt US. In 2024, it produced about 70% of the oil it consumed was $370 billion, $380 billion of total, $570 billion. In contrast, India imports 85% of its oil needs and is more vulnerable to supply shocks and price hikes. This allows US to use oil as a pressure tool while keeping its own economy safe. The real reason behind USA's action isn't trade, but frustration with India's independent stance. Washington's trade war, initially aimed at Beijing, failed between 2017 and 2023. China's exports rose by over $1 trillion. US trade deficit grew by $762 billion. When Trump tried to raise tariffs on China on 145% this time, China and Japan sold $1 trillion in US Treasury bonds, crashing the market, forcing him to pull back. Unable to take on Beijing again, US signed one-sided deals with EU, Japan, Vietnam among others, but India didn't give in. US wants to punish Russia for the war in Ukraine, but US played a key role in creating the crisis. Economist Jeffrey Sachs and others have noted that indeed, early 1990s US leaders assured Russia NATO wouldn't expand eastward, yet NATO expanded in 1999 and 2004. US pushed for Ukraine and Georgia to join in 2008 after the 2014 Maidan Revolution. US backing for Ukraine's NATO ambition only increased. The war couldn't been avoided had Ukraine stayed neutral and mutual security guarantees been in place. India is the American tech firm's biggest market, a vital source of data, users and talent. Companies like Google, Meta, Amazon and Microsoft rely on India to test products, train AI models, drive model growth. If India allows Chinese giants like Tencent or Alibaba to compete freely, couldn't end monopoly of US firms. Trump ignores that US earn far more than India than vice versa. He talks of the $44 billion trade surplus in India's favor, but leaves out the over $80 billion US makes early from India. Indian students contribute over $25 billion to US economy. American tech, finance and consulting firms earn billions through operations in India. Tech, defense deal, subscription services and American companies back and centers money flows heavily in USA's favor. On our trade deal, India can show flexibility on many issues, but must firmly protect its red line on agriculture and dairy. It shouldn't agree to changing its patent laws, data rules or procurement policies or accept pressure on BRICS. India must also insist on legal certainty of no new tariffs post-deal, or else India should be ready to walk away. No deal would be better than a bad deal. Days after Trump announced he would impose 25% tariff on Indian exports to US, with fresh warning about raising these tariffs substantially made it clear that to maintain Indian exports to US, India must negotiate a costly short-term trade deal. This would allow it to continue engaging with Washington in line with US trade deals with EU 15%, Japan 15%, Indonesia and Philippines 19%, or Vietnam 20%. A trade agreement might reduce India's tariff exposure to about 10 to 15%. This would maintain cost competitiveness and provide much needed certainty for Indian exports to US, which were worth around $87 billion in 2024. Trump's unilateral trade measures, press-driven ultimatums and reciprocal tariffs do mean that trading partners beneath various deals bear disproportionate obligations. Likewise, India might have to give up more than it gained if an agreement is reached with US. Despite 5 rounds of talks, New Delhi and Washington are still at odds over US access to the Indian market, especially in agriculture and dairy sectors, and over India's oil and arms imports from Russia. India continues to impose sanitary regulations and high tariffs on US produce. For instance, skimmed milk powder still attract 60% tariff. Dairy products such as fish, cheese and curd are also subject to 30% import duties. In addition, India has strict restrictions on genetically modified soybeans and corn. Two of the largest US agri products importing livestock products into India negotiates an import license in order to negotiate a favorable trade agreement with US and other nations. India will need to figure out how to relax some of these onerous regulations. The next challenge is India's ongoing imports of Russian oil, announced driven by national interest and economic pragmatism. If India doesn't reduce its involvement with Russia, US has warned that secondary sanctions and additional tariffs may be imposed, and in this context too, it will be better for India to have an interim deal that will probably mean India agreeing to buy some US energy. Making a deal should be understood as a practical truce, with short-term benefit would be purchasing time to shield Indian exporters, particularly textile and pharmaceutical industry, from the full force of punitive tariffs. It will also allow India to bring Washington to the negotiation table to discuss the additional tariffs on India if it continues buying Russian oil. Tariff arbitrage is still a legitimate benefit even if the negotiated tariff isn't lowered to zero. Additionally, a US deal would enhance India's chances of negotiating advantageous FTAs with others, including EU. India will have to make concessions to consider enacting a duty-free tariff-free quota for dairy products in place of higher tariff barriers. There is a sensitivity towards US dairy products due to the meat fee given to the livestock there. Could be solved through the right labeling after this certain amount of goods could enter India at a zero tariff rate. Plus, consider reducing tariffs on the likes of apple, oilseeds and marine products for a trading economy looking to maintain its global integration. A deal offers a structured negotiation path, some predictability and short-term relief. Even if it's unfair, it will give India breathing room to safeguard its export interest and advance trade. In the long term, the alternative is an economically riskier corner where it has little leverage at a time when global trade is being refined not by WTO rules but by power politics and protectionism. Angry clouds and rivers. Why people leave equal Bihar for unequal Mumbai?
Why people live equal Bihar or unequal Mumbai? Starting poor in life is alright. There is equality of opportunity and a chance to strive with rich. The computer science principle, garbage in, garbage out, ego, also applies to the ongoing debate on inequality in India. To decide whether India is among the world's most equal societies or the most unequal, the focus is on income and consumption. While economist Thomas Piketty counts India among the most unequal economies in terms of income distribution, World Bank circulations, the source of recent newspaper, Dirty place India as the fourth most and by some interpretations the top most equal society in consumption. Critics see serious problem in the data that Piketty has used. They also see serious problems in India's consumption survey data that World Bank has used. The bank's table on Guinea coefficients are based on consumption for some countries and income for others, which is another source of criticism and confusion. Critics on both sides claim the other side has a deeper problem and the debate continues. This obsession with income and consumption inequality misses a crucial factor, opportunity. Why is opportunity crucial? Because that's what people care about. Inequality of outcomes, income or consumption is the pet subject of economists, journalists and politicians, but they would be surprised to learn that people do not care much about inequality of income and consumption. Indeed, they constantly express their preference for opportunity and disdain for equality. By moving out of places that are heavens of equality to places that have high levels of inequality and provide greater opportunity. This is true not just in India but globally. Bihar and Assam are the most equal states in India. As per the Gini coefficient measure, economists often use to measure inequality. Yet every year, Biharis and Assamese move to states with much higher opportunity and inequality. Haryana, Kerala, Maharashtra, the states with the highest Gini coefficients, meaning high inequality. There is little mobility in rivers from the states with high levels of inequality to Bihar and Assam. Indeed, people from Kerala migrate to work in West Asia, one of the most unequal regions in the world. In hordes, Keralites also migrate to other parts of India for opportunity, not equality. People in Bihar and Assam do not blame the rich of Mumbai for their economic plight. In fact, They would all like to work for the Ambanis, Adanis and the Tatas to improve their lot. They return to tell stories of opportunities and not inequalities that their ado- new awards offer. Whereas India, Gini coefficients are much higher in urban areas than rural areas, indicating higher urban inequality. Yet people move from rural areas to urban areas to big cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai for opportunity. This is true globally. Rural societies are more equal and offer fewer opportunities for jobs, while urbanization is a sign of growth and progress. Data on international migration also shows this trend. For income, for consumption, equality and migration to places with high opportunity. US is one of the most unequal societies in terms of income distribution in the rich world. Yet it takes 20% of all international migrants annually because it offers enormous opportunities. No one wants to go to communist countries that pride themselves on income and consumption equality, shocking opportunity. The same is true of regional inequality globally. South Africa has the highest Gini coefficient of income in the world, indicating that it has the most unequal distribution of income. It is also the country that receives most immigrants from other African countries. We pay a lot of attention to inequalities of outcomes such as income and wealth, but inequalities of human capital and health are far more consequential. The crucial reality is that all men and women are not created equal. Some are tall, some short, some inherit genes that make them sturdy and healthy, and others genes that cause poor health. Some have excellent memories and some are forgetful. Some are creative, some excel in repetitive work, and some in neither. Inequalities at birth generally grow with age. So individuals with good health do well at school, get admission to good college, get degrees from institutions that become certificates of their abilities and skills and can fetch jobs with high incomes and opportunities for growth. One of the goals of the modern state is provide quality education and skills to all so that they can reach their optimum potential. It wouldn't bring equality of income or consumption but will improve the potential of all citizens to excel. If you have human capital, education, skills and good health, you have better chance of being wise and becoming wealthy. The road to a victorious nation has to pave with equality of opportunity for all. The debate on equality of outcome is simply distraction. Prophets of romanticism, love, beauty and nature. The romantic poets were a sensitive group of geniuses who dropped from the classical tradition between 1780 and 1850. Their poetic expositions are widely read and researched by students in literature schools and universities around the world. The illustrious English romantic poets in the mainstream were William Blake, William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, George Gordon Byron, Percy Bysshe Shelley, G.B. Shelley, John Keats. A chronological comparison between early romantics such as Blake, Wordsworth and Coleridge and later romantics including Byron, Shelley and Keats offers insight into themes such as elements of nature, love, beauty, emotion, and rebellion. Romantic poets in the bygone era were literary harbingers. Nevertheless, in reality, they were prophets of romance, love, and beauty, underlying a collective theme of rebelling against the relegation of emotion to reason, denying the bounty of nature to generate the flow of efficiency, industrialization, and disbelief in the eternity of man's soul. Their poetic lineage was perpetuated through pilgrimage and spiritual journey to immortalize the philosophy of love, beauty, and elements of romanticism. It was romance entriced with the imagination of divine forces. Samuel Taylor Coleridge. The rhyme of the ancient mariner emphasizes the inculcation of the moral values by absorbing the speaker from a sense of guilt, leading to redemption and a meaningful life, and the sacredness behind our living standards, as known for his mystical insights. Coleridge intercedes, he prayed best, who loveth best all things both great and small. Though John Keats suffered bouts of hypochondria, love its sickness, he was undeniably a sensuous poet who expressed his endless love ever flowing for his amorous lady, Fanny Brown, had all seen her absence during his sickness seemed unbelievable, and he lamented through the open window to nature, living his life under the misery of melancholia and condescension with the truth of beauty, nurtured by nature. John Keats, in the Ode on Adoration, declared beauty's truth with beauty, that is all ye know on earth, and all ye need to know. Nature was his only trusted companion. Romanticism endures in the hearts of those who cherish love, beauty, and nature. It is an experience that revitalizes the soul, much like rain, breathing life into a place landscape. The spirit of romanticism naturally gravitates towards the timeless presence of emotion, aesthetic wonder, and the natural world. Echoing this sentiment in Keats' Ode on Adoration, some still hold to an idea that beauty is truth beauty, a reflection of the enduring romantic quest for meaning through beauty. Swollen ankles, tired legs, don't miss this trampling. The vein condition behind Trump's diagnosis is surprisingly common among older adults in India, but it is usually missed. It's to improve circulation. Start walking, flex that foot, lose extra kilos on Russian socks. What a breathing variable can tell you about your health. Smarter, kinder, closer, how India's open ICU model is changing critical care. Army camp at Harshil hit by cloud burst, rescue operation on. ED questions. Anil in lawn fraud linked to MLA case. Uttarakhand CM takes stock of rescue efforts, terms damage very sad. Gujarat High Court orders the arrest of oil tankers. A decisive step towards modern, efficient and citizen-centric governance in Amrutpal. Honorable Prime Minister inaugurates today Kartavya Bhavan 3, New Delhi, a testimony to the Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi's vision. Kartavya Bhavan 3, built by L&T, brings together multiple ministries into a single, integrated and future-ready workplace, part of a transformative initiative under the Central Vista redevelopment. The new secretariat reflects TL L&T expertise in modern infrastructure, a digitally enabled, sustainable, seamlessly connected and secure administrative center that aligns with the future needs of governance. As a nation builder, L&T is proud to be associated with this prestigious landmark that empowers unified governance for generations to come. Musk and Mellons, a movement to rethink wealth taxes. Complain they repeat why stopping is not taken seriously. Shami songs to Srivali, Indian cinema has a consent problem. I thank all my brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students, scholars, teachers, trainers, professors, professionals, all the listeners, the most honorable President Modi ji, respected doctors and directors, honorable advocates, advisors, administrators and advisors, adorable ministers and managers, I thank all of you. Thanks a lot.